Minister of International Relations Ronald Lamola has written an open letter to ANC NEC member Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma responding to allegations that she made on a recent podcast. In a post published on X, Lamola says he notes with concern and disappointment Dlamini-Zuma's remarks, and he has categorically denied any involvement in vote buying, whether through phone calls, voice notes or any other medium during that conference or at any other time. Lamola urging Dlamini-Zuma to retract his statements, as it would pain him, he says, to take legal action against an ANC veteran with distinguished struggle credentials. And the Minister joins us live now to chat about this, but of course there's a lot more to talk about, including the SADC summit, a lot of focus even on that briefing that the Department of International Relations had this morning with members of the media. Minister, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your patience while we had to, take this breaking news story at this hour. But perhaps we'll start with just what we said before we move on to issues around the SADC summit and also the BRICS summit that is also upcoming. But we start with, just what you've posted on X, what we've just reported on regarding some of what was claimed by your fellow NEC member and around vote buying. And you are calling on her to retract. What happens if she doesn't?
Yeah, thank you very much. As I have said in the statement, it will be very painful for me to take Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma to court to retract this statement, because as you have read, she's a distinguished struggle stalwart of the ANC and of the Republic of South Africa that I highly regard and respect. So a retraction for me will be enough. In fact, she may not even need to apologize. The retraction alone will suffice, and we can move on with our lives. But as some of your viewers may know or have heard the recording, the voice is not mine at all. It does not even need a voice expert. So it's not me in that recording.
And before I move on to the next issues that we need to decide, but to discuss, how concerning are the allegations that she makes? I know you don't speak for the party, but you're a fellow NEC member. How disturbing are these allegations of vote buying, which is something that has been, bubbling under in the public domain for quite some time now?
Yeah, it is always a concern. It's an issue that the party has to attend to, particularly if and when there is evidence.
And a focus then to some of what you've said today, especially around the 46th Ordinary Summit of the Heads of State and Government. I know some activities, of course, have already gotten underway to lead us to that moment where we then see the Heads of State come together. Before, I know that South Africa, of course, had to step in on an interim basis when we saw those developments in Madagascar. But now we'll be assuming its chairmanship, the chairmanship basically formally, if one can even put it that way. What are we to expect from South Africa as it now is, given this opportunity to chart a way forward and be at the helm of SADC?
Yeah, thank you very much. We have already adopted a strategy in government which will focus on regional integration, infrastructure, and also agriculture, but also on the issue of critical minerals. As you are aware, this region is well endowed with the critical minerals. So we need to have a more focus on that, so beneficiation in the region, pooling the resources, financial resources across the region to enable the region to respond as a collective, and not only on critical minerals, but as you are aware, issues of energy. We are also one of the most endowed in the world with our own energy resources. So this SADC summit will play a critical role in shaping that conversation, but also in assessing how far have we gone with the regional development indicative frameworks of SADC that have been adopted in relation to regional integration. How far are we in terms of percentage? How far are we in terms of agricultural cooperation and all the indicative frameworks that were expected to assess? But obviously, the issue that is now an issue of topic, the issue of free movement of people and goods, regular and not disorderly, will also feature prominently. There will definitely be a discussion about the issue of migration.
And right on that issue of migration, I just want to borrow from some of what was written by Otelia Anamaunganite. She says, while the theme is clear, that has been set out, you've taken us through it as well, but she says that SADC states, and I quote, must discuss how to achieve the goals amid strained relations between neighboring countries. South Africa's position has been to reaffirm its support for a continental dialogue on migration. And given where things stand right now and some of the conversations that you would have then had as the Minister of International Relations, how difficult or frank are these conversations likely to be around this issue?
There should be no holy cows. This matter has to be discussed. As you can see, the AU resolution on this matter is a 2015 Johannesburg resolution, which was followed by a 2019 Peace and Security Council resolution. So we have to discuss also at the SADC level, because we do have a protocol on the free movement of people and goods that has not yet been ratified by about 9 member states of SADC. So we need to discuss how they need to ratify this. We are glad that Malawi is already doing it. So the discussion should and must happen. And it was one of the reasons why at the AU Executive Council, most SADC country member states at the AU were clearly opposed to the debate that was presented by Ghana, because they said in terms of complementarity, SADC will be better placed to deal with the matter because most of the people affected are from the SADC region. So it is also for that reason that this matter has to be discussed, and we will have to be frank in all the engagements on the matter. There will be no holy cows. It's a matter that is of concern. We cannot kick it away. It is with us, it is here. So it needs to be discussed and resolutions need to be found.
I'm going to get to the protocols in just a moment when it comes to the update on the High Commissioner to India, Mr. Anil Suklal. But you say that in your statement, and I was listening to you earlier on this morning, that you've recalled him to the headquarters for consultancies. What does this mean? Are there questions that you're likely to ask? And if you're able to share with us some of what you are looking to probe deeper here about that visit by the former president.
Yes, indeed, there are questions that we will want to ask the High Commissioner. Unfortunately, I'm not yet privileged to divulge those questions up until we have got a report, which we will definitely be able to publish the outcomes of that consultations.
And when it comes into this protocol, what are you seeking to deal with precisely, as far as one would even maybe loosely say the itinerary or even some of the undertakings when it comes to support that is needed for former presidents when they travel or even make use of some of your services? So what does the protocol seek to address here?
Yeah, as you will have seen, the challenge that is emerging with particularly former President Zuma is that as he travels across, he purports to represent either the South African government or himself or the MK party and so forth. So the protocols needs to be clear. Where are you going? What is it for? Is it any way related to advance South Africa's interest? Because as you are aware, a former head of state who appears and arrives with an ambassador or a high commissioner to any event, that country may misinterpret that arrival with the High Commissioner or with an ambassador to be meaning that that former head of state is representing the Republic of South Africa. And there have been statements that have come out in some of the countries where former President Zuma has visited, which clearly shows that that was their misrepresentation or their misinterpretation of his engagement in that country. So that's why the protocols will need to be defined and be clear. At what point do we extend the courtesies for these meetings, and where do we stop, so that a former head of state who is on a private visit or who is doing his own private personal activities is not conflated with someone who is representing the interest of the South African government.
You do have others who are saying, though, that it might be a little too late to want to do that, because he would have undertaken a number of other trips, for example, Morocco, and that trip in and itself raised a lot of concern, and now we are here. Others are saying, why didn't you do it then? What about this particular moment has prompted this action?
It's rather late than never. I mean, all laws that you see are resolving a particular lacuna in any state. You will not have, whoever drafted this law in the Presidency Act, they will not have foreseen that there will be such conduct. It's not only in Morocco, even in India. You will have heard what is said there about retaking over government. And there has also been some of these controversial or troublesome statements in Uganda and so forth. So it is better late than never, because all laws, when they are promulgated or amended, it is aimed to close a particular loophole. And we have now identified that there is this loophole, and that is what we will want the presidency to move to resolve, because we are acting in terms of the President's Act, which provides the privileges to the former heads of state.
As a final one, briefly then, with regards to the BRICS summit that is upcoming, looking at the developments in the Middle East and Ukraine, given the fact that the BRICS group has now expanded, it's BRICS Plus, how difficult or challenging will it be to reach consensus, particularly on these issues, and how do you navigate that terrain as South Africa?
It shouldn't really be difficult. As you will have seen from the last statement from BRICS, we agreed on 99% of the issues. We only disagreed on one issue, which involves the two member states, which was the conflict of the U.S. against Iran, the war against Iran by the U.S., which now was almost escalating into a regional conflagration. And it was for that reason that in particular, the UAE and Iran could not agree on the wording for only this one specific paragraph. But the rest of the matters, there was agreement, there was a consensus. So we agreed on 99% of the statement. Obviously, in an organization like this, even if it has not expanded, there will always be divergent views, but the outcomes encourage consensus.
Minister, appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to us, and it's going to be long days ahead and quite a busy schedule that's likely to follow. Thank you for speaking to us. Ronald Lamola there is the International Relations and Cooperation Minister.